What is going on, you guys? My name is CodyT503 and this is the Interesting Podcast. We are coming to you guys live on August 27, 2024 for episode 103, where today I actually have a very, very special guest. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to introduce to you guys Maggie.
Hi everyone, how's it going?
Oh my gosh, it is awesome to actually have you here. Like, thank you so very much for joining me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm honored to even be on here. So thank you.
All right, man. Well, let's just start off for all the people who maybe don't know you. Maybe you can introduce your name, where you're from, and maybe exactly how you got into professional wrestling.
Okay, so my name is Maggie. Here I am. So I am not a professional wrestler yet. It's kind of been this growing passion on me. I'm a fan. I haven't always been a huge fan until I got later in life, but I always knew about wrestling, but then I really got into it later, and just I like the theatrics behind it. I like the athleticism behind it, and so I'm not a professional wrestler right now, but I did go to the school, the Oregon Wrestling School, and I had a blast, and it's an experience that I never thought I would get, an experience that I might not have even thought I would try until it was presented in front of me and the opportunity was there. So, So I am, so I'm not a professional wrestler, but I go to a lot of the indie shows. I enjoy all the storylines. I enjoy watching you guys put in all your effort, and I'm honored to be on here for sure.
Yeah. So, do you remember the one time in which you were like, okay, this is something I want to do, and I'm actually going to go out and actually put the effort in to actually make that accomplishment fulfilled? There you go.
So, okay. I gotta think about this a little bit because I am a very athletic person. I snowboard, I've skateboarded, I do endurance training, strength training, and I really admire what I see in professional wrestling for sure. So I think there wasn't like a set time when I was like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. But I have always, for the past few years, I've had a Divas Championship belt on my desk at my work, and everyone that comes in are like, did you win that? Sometimes I play it off like, yeah, and sometimes I'm just like, well, one day. But I do have a Divas Championship belt, and so it's kind of been this thing at my job where people come in and we talk wrestling, and then I'm like, I hear all of the history from Portland and all the new stuff, and so it's just you get to meet a lot of cool people. I work at an athletic club, and so when people come into the office and they chat me up about wrestling, I get pretty excited. So anyway, I walk into my job, and the belt wasn't it was given to me by one of my coworkers. He brought it in one day, and he's like, I thought you should have this. So I have been the diva of this athletic club. Every morning I walk in, they're like, hey, diva. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so, as a fan, it's just fun to play that role. And then I'm thinking about it, right? And then my coworker's like, why don't you just be a wrestler? I'm like, well, I need the commitment and I need the time, and the money also. But I am a mom. I have to kind of balance everything out. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, gosh, I want to get into this sooner rather than later. And then I had, just multiple people come up to me. Well, you can do it. You can do it. And I was like, yeah, I can. I just need to find the time to do it. And and then we went to that hot sauce expo, and Matthew. So some of you know Matthew. He is my son, my 9-year-old. He goes with me to all the DOA shows. We sit in the front row. It's like our bonding time, right? So like I'm like, I want to share this with you because this is something that we can get involved with together. And so some of you know Matthew, and he has had his talks. He's given his piece of his mind to probably Nikki and the Hammer Bros and who else? Oh my gosh, there's like Nick Radford, like all of those guys. He's definitely talked to you guys at one point in time, or thrown a helmet, or a chop, giving you a chop, or Matt Brannigan was on the ground and he ended up kicking you a bit. So this is my little dude, and we're at the Expo Center, or the Hot Sauce Expo in Portland, and he looks at the booth, the Oregon Pro Wrestling School, and he's like, Mom, they're doing tryouts. This is for you. This was made for you. And I was like, you think so? Like, he is definitely my number one fan. By all means, he's just like, he's like, Mom, wrestle me to wake me up. I'm like, you want me to give you a DDT? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I try, but I think I would like to, learn more. And I just have the passion to know more. So we're at the Hot Sauce Expo Center. I don't know why I keep saying Expo Center. We're at the Hot Sauce Expo, and he sees this flyer, and he's like, Mom, they're doing tryouts, right? And I was like, okay. So then my mind starts thinking like, gosh, I want to be there. And from all the podcasts that I listened to from you, you've done, King Naja or Zay Perez, and who else? You have had Spencer on here. And they all talk about the Oregon Pro Wrestling School. And, I know other people who attend the wrestling school, and or have been there at one point in time, or I've learned a thing or two from that school, and it's been tugging on my heart for sure. And so I was like, gosh, I want to try this. I want to see if this is a route that I could take. And so yeah, I think it was like at that moment my mind got started thinking about it. And then it just so happened it was on a weekend when Matthew was with his dad, so I was able to go, and I was like, okay, well, I might as well just do it. I don't have any other plans. My friend was able to give me a ride down there. It was great. And so at that point, it was kind of like, if the opportunity is calling, then I just take it. You have to take it as it comes.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to get into that. But so it's like, do you have any like favorite professional wrestlers that you've actually come to know as you've gotten into professional wrestling? And has anybody actually drawn like a little bit of inspiration to drive you to want to go to Oregon Pro Wrestling School?
All of Joey Thornton, he's a great wrestler. There's just so many. A lot of the wrestlers that go to DOA, as I've come to, learn more about it, and a lot of those guys are from the school. Amira, you have Caleb Kennedy, even though his gimmick is a little like you just want to slap him, but overall his athleticism and his passion is there. But Amira, I just look at her and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you are passionate and it shows and it makes me want to do it right now. Like, I'm like, yeah. Oh, you make me want to be a wrestler. And these are just people, from the school that I've watched, and I watch other pro wrestling as well. It kind of gives me inspiration of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's something that would be an experience and somewhere that I feel like my heart is just tugging me to.
Yeah.
That I would just absolutely enjoy and adore. So huge inspirations in, professional wrestling and in like WWE. And then huge inspirations from the school, just to, I think from the school is like to see you guys progress. So as time goes on, you watch the characters develop, you watch their athleticism, just get spot on, their moves, their, whatever they want to throw in as their little creative ventures, and then just, watching them do this over and over and over. And it's inspirational for sure.
That is so interesting. So, like, can you kind of like walk us through the morning that you were actually going out for the Oregon Pro Wrestling School tryout? And like, how are you feeling when you were actually getting prepared or stepping into the doors? Like, how are you feeling when you actually entered that environment?
So, there was a ton of excitement. My mornings are a little chaotic because I have two kids, and even though Matthew wasn't home that day, still getting Aiden around, and so I got ready, and then I met up with a friend of mine, and he drove me to the school, and he was like telling me all about it and talking it up, and then as I'm getting there, I'm just absorbing all the information and going over the list of what we're going to be doing, even though it was like four things, right? So I'm like, oh, what are we going to be doing today? Are they going to do arm drags? Are they going to make me run the ropes? Like, oh my gosh, what are they going to make me do? And like, what am I really trying out for? How's my body going to feel when I'm done? And so it was, I was just so excited. I was nervous. I was like, well, ultimately I'm going to go. I have taken this opportunity. Everyone was excited for me. Like, I go into work and I'm like, you guys, I signed up for this Oregon Pro Wrestling tryout. And they're like, oh, the next superstar. Like, they just talk me up so much because they are so supportive, and they, not everyone I work with is a wrestling fan, but there's a lot of wrestling fans that I work with, or at least they get excited when I talk about it. So that's encouraging. So just the support there. So I just kept thinking like, this was made for me, or just something that I would like to try and see what happens. And it's challenging. I knew it was going to be challenging. I knew it was going to be painful. I knew it was not going to be easy. And I was ready.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we actually get into all of the challenges of actually trying out and whatnot, like, how was it to actually meet Ricky Gibson and know that he was the head trainer or owner of Oregon Pro Wrestling School?
Yeah. So I've watched Ricky Gibson at Prestige few times. Just admirable wrestler all around. And then I knew he was the one who had started the school. From a few of the other people that I've spoken with who have been to the school, who train at the school, and they're like, yeah, Ricky Gibson. And so I said hello at the Hot Sauce Expo and was like, hey, you Ricky, how's it going? And then when I went to the school and I got to hear his story on him starting it, that's like his whole life. And when you walk into that place, it was like a home. It was a place that was, I don't know what word I'm looking for. It was inviting. Felt like a place that had a lot of effort put into it, I guess. A lot of time, a lot of care. And you kind of feel that when you go in, and then you get to hear about Ricky Gibson and how he was like, yeah, like I could be making more money doing other things, but this is my passion. This is where my family is. Like, this is what I want to nurture. And so like, that was really encouraging. And I feel like he was a little bit of too nice of a guy, but I think ultimately, like, he's just that kind of person. This is the vibe I get from him for sure. But treat others with respect, boost others up, and so it was pretty exciting to get to be a part of that.
We'll definitely have to get into everybody boosting each other up, because I know that that's something I really want to dive into. But I just wanted to just send out like a little message to Ricky Gibson. He probably doesn't know this, but if you go back to the video that I did where it's how I got into professional wrestling, I was explaining that there was these two superstars or wrestlers that I was watching, and that's when all of these questions just started going off. And it was actually Ricky Gibson and Eddie Pearl when they were the 4 minutes of heat. So I just want to just send out a message to Ricky Gibson and just let you know that it is an absolute honor that I was able to actually even be in a ring with you, and you even instruct anything to actually coordinate with me. Like, it is an absolute pleasure to be able to experience that and have that memory. So thank you very, very much. It is an absolute pleasure. So the next question that I wanted to ask you was like what would you say is was the most difficult challenge when you were actually trying out? Like,
So,
there you go.
so like from the things that from all the like little training things we did, I mean, most challenging was bumps. I guess those are the most painful. I mean, all of it's a little challenging because you can think about it in your mind, and then when you go to do it physically, I mean, at least for me, I'll be like, oh, that wasn't right, and kind of feel when it's not right, and then so the bumps were definitely most painful.
Interesting. Sure. Yeah, so it's like they're like how many days after that whole tryout were you actually sore? Like, did you go home and like, oh my gosh?
Well, I'm still a little sore, to be honest. So there was one bump that I had taken, and I knew, like, I think I tried to overdo it. So I like went up, I hit my just off to the right side a little bit, and I kind of stretched that muscle. So I'm still a little sore from that. I only feel it during certain times, and it's definitely getting better. And then I know I had some bruising. I had some bruising on my arms for a little while there, maybe like a day or two. And yeah, it's mostly like in the middle part of my back. I think I stretched a little bit too much, like trying to overcompensate or whatever we do when we're trying to learn something new.
Yeah, because like even like a few days afterwards, like it was so hard to like sit down, like even on the couch. Like I was like struggling to sit down and then stand up, and I was like,
Yeah.
for anybody who ever says that professional wrestlers don't actually take risks or that there's like a certain dangerousness to whatever they're doing, go to a tryout.
Yeah.
Go and actually feel that mat. Go and feel the severity afterwards where you can barely even sit on the toilet and then try and sit there and tell me that that's how it is. Like,
Yeah, I know. I
no,
know.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. Like, it's real. By the way.
Oh, that is so awesome. So it's like what was the actual feeling that you had when you took like your first bump? Like was it something that you were expecting or was it completely unexpected?
I think I expected it. I didn't know exactly what to expect. It was just like, oh, I'm gonna just fall here, and just yeah, I didn't really know what to expect other than, oh, this is probably not gonna feel great. Yeah, just do it. It's just gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I find is like so interesting is that before everything started, it was almost like everybody couldn't make fun or poke fun at anybody who was maybe doing something. But yet everybody who was actually there during the class actually started to encourage everybody. Like everybody started, clapping for each other as they were doing everything. And nobody told us to do that. It was just a communal thing. And I find that so interesting that all of us can go into that tryout and like, do you feel like you're going to remember all of the people that were actually there no matter what? You know what I mean? Just because of that whole communal feeling of everybody being there for each other. And it's just such a crazy experience to actually go through.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the encouragement, and I'm not going to remember everybody's name by any means, but if I see your face, I'll probably be like, hey, you were that guy. But I mean, everyone was like, it was a very encouraging environment. Just like, and not to mention a lot of the people there were pretty good anyway. I mean, just watching them, I'm like, oh, I have to go up after that guy. Like, oh, that's so bad right now. Like, oh, can we modify this? And, yeah, I agree. It was a great experience to have that encouragement from everybody, and then like even seeing some of those people, you're just like proud of them. Like you'll try it the first time and you mess up, right? Like we all did, and then they do it again and they look great. Like so,
Yeah.
it was great. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, it was really cool when we were sitting there like trying to just back roll and then pop up. And then there was that one person who was kind of struggling like a little bit to do it, and then he did it, and like everybody popped.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it was just like, you did it, man. Like we've been there. We know that you are struggling, and you look. I mean, just seeing you do it is great. You just And the more you are encouraged, like the better everyone did, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was wonderful. It was always wonderful.
That is so awesome. So it's like, how would you summarize your overall experience at Oregon Pro Wrestling School?
summarize it. It was the experience of a lifetime. I am so glad that I did it. I knew the day before I signed up, I was asking Ricky Gibson all these questions. I was like emailing him. I was like, well, when I join, when are the classes? What does my commitment need to be? Like, I'm a thinker. So like I think everything through, and I overthink things. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm old. so what are your students like? So I'm like, the night before, my brain is just going, and I was emailing Ricky, and he's just so cool about the whole thing. Oh, we have students from 20 to 40s and 50s. We have, your commitment can be as 2 days a week or as much as one, and so where was I going with this? So I'm thinking all these things through, and summary. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
So my experience was definitely an experience of a lifetime. I feel like I'm in a good location for the school. I do need to find some time to get there. But summary for my experience is it was very positive. I'm still not as confident as I would like to be, but I think that's why you go to training, right? Is to gain that confidence and to learn more and to make sure it's the right fit for you. Because pro wrestling's not for everybody. But it's just a great opportunity, and I would have never imagined this for my life. So it was positive and exciting.
That is really awesome. So it's like, do you really have like a plan to actually go and sign up and just kind of test yourself to see exactly how far you can make it in this industry?
It's definitely been pulling on my soul. My soul, it's in my soul. So I've been running through it in my mind, and like right now, Matthew is in football, and we have football, pretty much 5 days a week. And also something that resonated with me when Ricky was talking was, if you want it, you will make it happen. And I have always done that in any aspect of my life. If there's something that I'm passionate about, or that a goal that I'm working toward, I make it happen. And I think with this one, I'd like to move forward. I won't do it during football season, but it's something that I'm going to definitely consider as as we get into more or after football season's over, then I'll revisit and see. Definitely. I don't know how to put it in words. But I know that everyone, even today, I had one of our members from the gym stop in the office, and he was like, "Oh, you like pro wrestling?" And he's like, and I started talking to him about my experience at the Oregon Wrestling School, and he was like, "No way! When you get a poster, you have to post it all over these walls." I was like. So it's just it's one of those things that I feel like life is it's calling for me more so than I'm calling for it. It's just one opportunity after the next, and if I want it, I'll make it happen.
That is amazing. So it's like, just as like just a theoretical character, like what would you like want to be portrayed as? Like, what's going through your mind when it comes to that? Because I've heard from certain wrestlers that it's not a bad thing to go in and have an idea, but just not stick to that idea. So what is your kind of little idea that you have right now as you're going throughout this process?
I mean, I've gone through a few different little ideas that I like. One is definitely like the diva because that's what everybody calls me at work, and I would love that so much. Especially since they don't have the diva belt anymore. But I, just like just kind of feeling like I'm a part of that, right? And I think that would be really fun. And then one thing that Matthew's been calling me recently is he's like, "Mom, you're the savage diva." I was like, the savage diva? I guess because I don't know. Me and my metal music and punk rock and kind of my style. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I know that going into a lot of these promos, they have ideas of where they want to put you, right? And so, I definitely want to make a little bit of my character, but I'd like to get through the beginning training first and see like how far I can progress there. But the savage diva, the one who, can I kind of have this idea of like, I don't know if you play League of Legends, but like Vi from League of Legends or I don't know who else. I mean, Lita is also the pro wrestler Lita, also a great influence. Like to just be that like rock star, that down to earth kind of person who
can I
just rocks it, right?
Can I like explain to you kind of like what like I've kind of seen? Like I like based off of when we were sitting there able to like actually take a picture together in the way that you were dressed. It was almost like a mix of like a Matt Hardy, let's say Rebel Kel, who was already there, and who else? Yeah, just like those like kind of things, and I could definitely see you being that vicious rebel rock character, and like I don't know, like you just give me like that presence. You know what I mean? And I think it would fit your character absolutely perfect. And the only thing with like it wouldn't be able to be like Rebel Rock because obviously we have Rebel Kel and everything.
Rebel Kel,
yeah. Yeah, but you could still figure out something where you can still portray that character. And I think you would play an absolutely perfect role in that. So I just want to tell you that in case you're sitting there, even just thinking about what you want to do as a character, like perfect.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, just like.
Yeah, I mean, like especially with like your son, sitting there making you like a little drawing and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. I meant to show you guys. Can I go get that really quick? I'm gonna show you.
Of course.
Okay. All right, so my son made this for me the other day. It's like a little 9-year-old drawing of this rebel rock star, and he's like, "Mom, it's a boy, but he's just like you, but in boy form." He was like, "You're my inspiration. You're my rebel rocker, right?" So I'm like, "That's awesome. I love you, kid. I love you. You're my love." You know me. So yeah, I mean, I would like one thing I was thinking was like, oh, I could be the Diva Savage and be a part of Death Threat and like go and just like King Naja and like all that stuff. But Matthew said he wouldn't allow that because I need to be because I'm not gonna be a heel. He was like, I'm not gonna root for you, Mom. If you're a heel. So yeah, maybe like that outcasted heel, but like everybody hates her, but she's not. I don't know.
So like almost like an anti-hero.
Anti-hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And like I was just like, when I saw that and I thought about what could possibly be an overall character for you, I was also thinking about Ricky Gibson training you. And before he was a part of the 4 Minutes of Heat, he was the rock god Ricky Gibson. So he would also be able to give you some kind of advice on like how to really portray that character or get that character over as far as that rock side of it. So interesting.
Yeah, I'd love that. I would love that. And that, yeah, most definitely. You guys are awesome.
So let's kind of talk about concerts a little bit. So it's like, what is like your most favorite concert that you've actually ever been to?
Like any concert? Like,
yeah, anyone.
I've been to quite a few. So I'm gonna share this story with you guys. It's more of so when I go to concerts, it's more of the experience and just, rocking out. I mean, I love it. In the pit, throwing my body around, pushing other people out of the way. And I went to the Chevelle concert. A really good friend of mine had brought me to the Chevelle concert one day. It was just like spur of the moment, spontaneous. Let's go. And we were up in Richfield, and we were kind of in the back, but there wasn't that many people there. So we started making our way toward the front. Somehow I ended up in the pit. I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up in the pit, and I was like, see you, sucker. Like, I'm going in, and then it was just fun to just like go and experience it, right? And so like it wasn't the best concert I've ever been to, but it was just like that experience. Yeah. And then I went to Static X over at, oh my gosh, where was that at? I want to say, was that the Hawthorne? Maybe. But I mean, you had I don't know who the main singer is anymore because Wayne's not there, but they had like this big thing with his hair up all high and everybody, just rocking out. It was great. So that was fun. My Life at the Thrill Kill Cult, that was a good one. I was right in the front. That was over at the Crystal Ballroom. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah. I think the number one band that like I've seen where it's like I was in the front row. I had gone to see Of Mice and Men, Marilyn Manson, and Slipknot, and I was sitting in the front. And for some reason, Marilyn Manson was actually the biggest band that actually played that night, because as soon as Marilyn Manson's set had actually cut off, a lot of people left. So there was actually a lot of room in the pit for Slipknot. Yeah, and
then you just keep going. That's awesome. I love that.
And when like I remember when Marilyn Manson was actually playing all of his music, I had like looked around because he had this huge production with all of these lights going off, and I was just looking around the entire arena, and like it just like was one of those like jaw-dropping moments where you're like, oh my God, look at what is going on. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it was just insane. And I just wanted to just share that. But it's like,
I love that. And then I love how, you go to those concerts and it's just big and there's just so much. It's just good. It's just great. Wonderful. There's some other ones that I go like, there's a local guy, his name Scott Pemberton, and he's been kind of going around. He's more of like jam band kind of sounding, but the way he plays his guitar is just like out of this world. I just beyond myself whenever I watch him just jam out and does like some Nirvana covers and stuff, and it's so good.
So can you sit there and like twirl your hair as you sit there and rock out?
Yep. That's what I do.
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh man, so it's like here's like another question is like what was maybe one concert in which like maybe you didn't enjoy the most, and maybe we can go back and forth on that.
Oh, a concert I didn't enjoy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard. I went to a Lindsey Sterling concert, but this was when she was like just starting out. And she had her opening band, which I think, if I'm remembering correctly, was like the band that she, played with when she was, she's in high school, and they all played together. And they sucked. And I don't remember who they were. But she got out there and started playing with them. And I was like, I don't know if I can sit through this whole thing. So I actually ended up leaving. But that was probably one of the worst concerts. And then there was one. So I went to go see Powerman 5000. And Powerman 5000 is phenomenal. There was nothing against them, but at the venue we were at, the venue was actually made for like some kind of salsa dancing classes, and so the sound wasn't good. The stage wasn't really a stage. It did not do Powerman 5000 justice by any means, and I was kind of disappointed in that one too. But and then the opening band was Dead Animal Assembly Plant, which they're also local. And they cut his mic because they didn't start the show till late. They didn't let us in till late. By the time everyone got in, the opening band was supposed to be done, and so they cut off his mic, and I was like, dude, like, don't do that. Plan a little bit better, get a better venue, probably. But yeah.
Interesting.
And what about yours? Let's hear yours.
Worst concert I've ever been to? That would be Mushroom Head.
Oh, really? You thought that was the worst? Really?
Yeah.
So, okay, so are you talking Mushroom Head like Mushroom Head like recently? Because I think they used to
it was in like
band.
it was in like 2018.
Yeah.
I had actually gone and seen them at the Roseland Theater, and yeah,
was it good? Really? Okay, so yeah, because I know they used to do so. Mushroom Head, they do the electronic trance music, right? And then they used to have the whole band play, and I saw them when it was like the whole band, and it didn't sound like their music, but it was way more industrial sounding from when they were playing. And so I haven't really caught up, like watched them recently. So
yeah, it was just like throwing me off as like their style of music. And then you also had the people in the crowd that would almost do like the extreme mosh pitting, where they're just like throwing their arms around, like and whatnot. Yeah, so that was just like a little like off-putting for me, and I was just like, yeah, no.
That doesn't sound like a good experience at all.
That is so awesome. Well, if we could actually start to get a little bit more into pro wrestling. So like, since you've actually been a fan of pro wrestling, what has been your favorite event that you've actually attended?
Oh my gosh. So the only live events that I go to DOA every month. And then I've been to Prestige a couple times, and then I've been to Anarcho Pro. I went to, you know, a couple other smaller little ones that it's fine. And so DOA is definitely like the funnest promotion that we've been to. There's a couple other ones that I've been wanting to go to on my bucket list. They're just a little bit more further out, and having a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old and trying to manage that. It's a little bit more difficult, but oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. I wrote down a couple of them because I was brainstorming. I'm like, okay, which one was the best that we've been to? So in June, I can't remember what that one was. What was the June one? June was Love It to Death. I think that was, no. So Come Out and Play was the June one. And that was my son's birthday. And I messaged everyone I knew from the show. And I was like, okay, so it's Matthew's 9th birthday celebration. I'm bringing some friends. Make it the like best show of his life. Right? So they put us like right in the front, and the camera's behind us, so all the action's happening right there. And then like Heidi comes out with Matt Brannigan and throws him down, and all the kids just get to like just start beating him up. And I'm like, do I make them stop? Do I let them keep going? And Heidi's like, just keep kicking him. And so that was really fun for me. To like just the like the back and forth that they have with the crowd is really fun with the fans to kind of get them involved and be a part of that. So that was a blast. And then there was one. Oh, which one was that? Airing of Grievances, and Nick Radford was against Randy Myers. Randy Myers, I love him. I love the way that he presents himself and just prances around. I love it. So he gets on stage and starts reading this poem about Cheryl. And I just was floored. Like, it was so good. And so, yeah, Nick Radford was Cheryl at that point in time. So those ones were fun. I really like going to the fun ones, which is, why I want to go to POW at some point. I watch the replays and stuff on IWTV, and I would like to go to a live one. I like the theatrics behind it as well. So that's kind of why I like pro wrestling instead of like, I like MMA, but pro wrestling because it's more theatrical,
Yeah. So what would you say, like, because I know you just said that like you like the theatrics, but it's like, what is the thing that mostly draws you to professional wrestling?
I mean, you got your storylines, and then you have the fighting and the like, I mean, the wrestling itself. I mean, as a fan, I can watch these wrestlers take these tremendous risks and put their bodies through something that I would never even imagine until I see it happen. And I'm like, and it's thrilling. It's thrilling to watch that. It's thrilling to let loose and, cheer for your heroes and boo your heels. And I think the involvement between what like wrestling kind of it's kind of like that middle ground of where you can kind of throw some real life in with some show, so you're taking your real life, you're taking your show, and then you're throwing some wrestling moves in, and it's thrilling to watch. It's it's something that would be exciting to be a part of, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like after you actually went to Oregon Pro Wrestling School and you went through everything, like, did you kind of find like a newfound respect for professional wrestling? And something that I had brought up with Zay Perez in one of our interviews was, does he feel like professional wrestling should be labeled as a sport? Based off of your experience that you went through at Oregon Pro Wrestling School, even trying out, do you now feel like it is a more of a sports like feel other than what majority of the media will say?
Yeah, most definitely. I completely agree that it's a sport. I mean, you fight with your opponent, you win or you lose. You have to put in the training. You have to get your body ready for what kind of blows you're taking, what kind of risks you're going to be taking, and also and do it in a way that's appealing to your audience, right? So it's definitely a sport. It's an entertaining one, but ultimately you have to train your body to do any of these moves.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not a professional wrestler yet. But
Yeah.
I know that it takes a tremendous amount of skill to do that kind of fighting. And
Yeah. Yeah, I think like, so when I was actually like taking my first bump and I actually felt the impact from the mat, one of the first thoughts that I imagined was, could you imagine taking the last ride from The Undertaker when he's 6'10" and he lifts you above his head and then just slams you right onto the mat? Like, it's just like one of those experiences that when you walk away, you're just like, I cannot even imagine the pain that these professional wrestlers have to go through. It's insane.
I mean, just taking one bump is hard, right? But then you take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then at the same time you're running the ropes, which I haven't had the opportunity to do yet, but I heard it hurts pretty bad. And so, you have. It's definitely a sport, definitely something you train for, and definitely something that I mean, what makes a sport? It's like competitive. You got to be competitive. You got to be, you have to protect yourself, but at the same time, know your moves, right?
Yeah. Well, here's a question. So it's like, what was one thing that you felt like maybe a little bit confident about what you were able to do while you were trying out? Is there anything where you were like, I think I kind of did that pretty good?
Yeah. The warm-ups. Yeah, the warm-ups are pretty easy. Not easy per se, like the ladder,
Yeah.
precise. No, I'm just kidding. So I mean, I don't know, like the roles were okay for me. I feel like I want to do better than I did. But once again, that comes with more training and repetition and learning it, getting feedback, positive feedback. And so like I felt like when I did my first role, I wasn't super confident. And I was like, okay, Ricky, don't go easy on me. You have to tell me, like, honestly, like, how am I doing? Because I don't want this to be sugar coated. just tell me. And so I did it. And he's like, no, that was good. And I was like, oh, I was like, I don't feel like it was that good, but But I hope you're being honest with me. And I don't think like he seems like that guy that's not gonna say that was good if it wasn't. Like he would definitely critique you and help you with modification if you needed it at that point in time, and kind of get up to move up as you progress. But I mean, for the most part, I think I did the rules okay, but only going forward. Not backwards.
Yeah, so like you definitely have a plan to actually sign up for Oregon Pro Wrestling School?
I have a thought. And then reassess once Matthew's done with football. Then we're gonna reassess where we're at. I think that it would be better for me to get into it now rather than later. I mean, I'm not 16 anymore, and my doctor keeps telling me that. And I feel that. And I like to challenge myself. I like to see how far I can go. And I think that being in the ring is something that brings me joy. And I don't know. It's just someplace that just feels like home.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Well, I know that I had seen on your Facebook that you went to the Hot Sauce Expo for 2024. So how was that overall experience for you? How was that event, including the wrestling?
Oh, it was fun. It was really fun. It was hot, but we
no pun intended.
Yeah. We had some Kona ice, and we watched some wrestling, and then trying to remember who Caleb was up against. I think it was Zay. I can't remember. So anyway, I'm pretty sure it was Zay Perez, and he comes up and he's got Caleb Kennedy ready for this little girl. So there was this little girl like off to the side, and I was like, you got to chop him. And she looked really nervous. Like she didn't want to do it. And I was like, it's okay. You can do it. And then I did it for her. So I was like, just like this, just watch me. So that was fun. I mean, the hot sauce was awesome. Just like tasting all of them. Ed Curry was there, and he's the creator of the Reaper Pepper and Pepper X. And so he was there doing like this, have like some kind of game show that they're doing where people make sauces and then you vote on like the best one. And so just going through, and we tasted not all the hot sauce, because we actually me and Matthew started on the hotter end because there was nobody over there. So I was like, let's try these ones first. And so we started with Pepper X sauce, and it was really hot. And then we moved our way down.
So that was probably like the hottest sauce that you actually tasted was Pepper X?
Yeah, it's really
interesting.
hot.
Like did they actually tell you like how many Scovilles it was before you
actually? I don't know how many off the top of my head, but I did buy a bottle.
Too much though.
That's my training for the Stage of Doom next year. They do the Stage of Doom is where they have this eating contest. People sign up, and then they just douse the food with like the pepper, the pepper powder, and then also the sauce. And so,
where is that held at?
Once again, one of those challenges, and I was like, oh, I can do it, but I didn't get the opportunity to, so it wasn't in the cards for me this year, which is probably good. but Matthew's like, we got to start your training, Mom. And so I bought some correct sauce. It tastes really good. Like it's really, like the taste of it's really good. It's really, really spicy. And then there's the Reaper sauce, and then there's a few other ones. There were so many like vendors there, and then the Oregon Pro Wrestling School and Ricky Gibson, and just they did have from the Oregon Pro Wrestling School, they had a couple debuts, which was pretty exciting, right? So there was that one new guy up against Charlie Avell, and I was like, this guy's good. Like, I can watch him. Like, he's really good. I'm trying to remember his name, but I can't remember. And they had a couple good ones come out, new ones. Yeah.
That is so interesting. Yeah, I know, like, I've been told that was one event in which Oregon Pro Wrestling School will kind of give the new students like an opportunity to debut and whatnot. So that has to be really, really cool to actually see the debuting superstars and whatnot.
Yeah, especially like you see them kind of like at the beginning of their journey, and then you kind of it feels kind of like you're progressing with them, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you kind of just follow their, not just their character, but them as a pro wrestler getting into the business and watching them progress.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what can we actually expect? Like, what do you want from this overall adventure that you're actually embarking on? Like, what do you want to do overall?
I'm gonna be the best. I'm just kidding. You're gonna see my face and it's gonna be famous. I'm just kidding. It could happen. I wouldn't say it won't, but at the same time, realistically, I want the experience of like training for this. It's like one of those things that I would like to get into a show one day, whether it be DOA or POW or, just to, walk through the doors and hear everybody singing, maybe not necessarily my song, but, just being a part of it, I think would be definitely something like if once I join the Oregon Pro Wrestling School, that would be the goal, is to get into a show, say that I've done it, and if life keeps giving me these opportunities and saying, come this way, then I might stick with it for a little bit. But I'm not getting any younger. I think that I would really like to be a tag team with CJ Edwards one day. That's a goal of mine, but I know he's not getting any younger either. But I would adore that. I think that would be really fun. And just to not necessarily say that I've done it, but to show myself that I am capable of doing really hard things and being good at it, right? So
yeah,
I would definitely do it for the athleticism, and to just, be better physically, mentally, and just grow with the and just like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Kind of like grow as like just getting better, I guess. Yep, yeah. I lost my train of thought. But anyway.
No, it's all good. All right. Well, just one final question that I wanted to ask you before we actually wrap everything up is like, what has professional wrestling meant to you since you've become a fan of professional wrestling? Like, what does it mean to you nowadays?
Professional wrestling is, I mean, it's one of those things that is in my life. It's entertaining for sure, and I've met a lot of people through wrestling who I adore and I love very much, and I feel like it's a very a lot of these people in wrestling are like family. It's like a wrestling family, right? And so they are there's a lot of really, really good people out there, and I feel like it's brought me a lot of good friends that I wouldn't have otherwise. And then also, like, it's a bonding experience for me and my son. It's a great way to just like let out, and then also something to admire in the fact of like how much time and effort and passion you have to be a professional wrestler. And so it's just something to be admired, something to connect with people of similar interest. And so I don't know the best way to express it.
No.
But
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just feel like wrestling is a great way for connection, for letting loose, being yourself, and just getting together with some other crazy people who take crazy risks. and it's fun. It's fun. It's a sport where you can watch it, you can practice it, you can all the things.
That is so awesome. Well, I just want to thank you very, very much for actually sitting down with me tonight and allowing me to just get into your mind when it came to your experience at Oregon Pro Wrestling School. Like, it was an absolute pleasure to be able to sit down with you.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure to be here. And I, like I said, I wish I had, a little bit more to bring, or like, I think that this is kind of the beginning of a journey, and I really am honored to be here. And thank you. Thank you so much.
That means so much. All right. Well, I hope you have a very, very good night. And I hope that I can actually see you in the future at an independent show. And we'll definitely have to reconnect after that.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love that.
All right. I hope you have a good night.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. All right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Maggie. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram,